So I'm waiting for Dennis. Okay. Yeah, on. So today you are going to look at Azure Directory Services. It's a part of Azure and it deals with the security and permissions related to have or to give to some people in your organization. Um, so what are we going to learn today? So I'll take you through Azure Directory Services and I'll touch on Azure Identity Services and access control. Then I'll jump over to a demo where we are going to create users and groups in Entra ID, which is part of Azure Directory Services, just for permission and security. And then Cliff is going to take you through Azure Permissions model, and then a demo on how to configure Azure Permissions, in the Azure cloud. Then I'll finish off with cloud security in Azure, just a brief overview of how security works in Azure. Then we're going to conclude from there. So thank you guys for joining. Okay, so let's move on to directory services. So Active Directory is a conventional tool for managing identity and permissions in on-premises window-based environments. While Microsoft Entra ID, it's a cloud counterpart of Active Directory, a more straightforward and simplified and user-friendly online version. Active Directory, or AD, acts as an address book for an organization's digital assets, organizing and storing information about users, let's say computers and resources. And it operates as a centralized identification service for users and computers while managing access to company resources. Okay. So think of it like a card access system for an office building where only employees such a card can enter. So similarly, in Active Directory, only authorized users and computers can access the organization's resources and files. Permissions are granted based on roles, mirroring how employees have access in specific building areas limited to their roles. So this permission structure ensures that users can access resources they are allowed to. So Active Directory categorizes users as individuals and computers as devices within the network. Groups unite users or computers with a shared characteristics or permissions, and groups can be nested. Okay. So AD objects are collectively referred to as entities, each possessing distinct characteristics and properties based on their entity type, such as a user, maybe a computer or a group. And Azure Directory Services are cloud-based tools for managing user identities and access. They support secure access to applications and resources, playing a key role in authentication, authorization, and identity management in both Azure and hybrid environments. Microsoft Entra ID is the main feature of Azure Directory Services, so keep that in mind. Okay, so Microsoft Entra ID serves as a master key for the Azure cloud environment. It simplifies online experience with a single set of login credentials for services like email, file storage, and cloud resources. It prioritizes convenience, and it eliminates the need to remember multiple usernames and password for various Microsoft cloud platforms. You can see that could be so tedious, entering the same password over and over again. So Microsoft Entra ID simplifies that for you. Okay, so Microsoft Entra ID offers key services like authentication to verify identity for accessing application, with features like multi-factor authentication, which we'll look on later, single sign-on, to remember one password and username, for multiple applications and platforms. So this simplifies the security model in Azure. Application management for both cloud and on-premises apps is also a use case for Microsoft Entra ID. So device management and access policies have been enhanced for security. Microsoft Entra ID also improves collaboration using external entities, which are individuals or devices outside the organization. So it allows them to access resources without creating additional user accounts. And this is particularly beneficial when you are working with external partners and also consultants or suppliers. And it simplifies resource access without the need to create new user accounts. And also we have a hybrid model. And a hybrid environment refers to a cloud computing infrastructure that combines elements of both on-premises, which are the traditional local data centers, and cloud-based services. So this approach provides the ability to leverage the benefits of both on-premises and cloud solutions based on specific needs and requirements. And it also allows businesses to transition gradually to cloud while maintaining some certain aspects of their infrastructure on their on-premises. These are their data centers. Okay. So in a hybrid setup, Active Directory and Microsoft Extra ID can work together to share information about users and also computers, groups, and their properties. So this synchronization enables access to resources in both cloud and local networks. So think of it as having multiple offices or office branches, okay? And employees are recognized across all branches, and their access to certain facilities in each branch is allowed even though they are in different buildings. So much like accessing various buildings within a company, Active Directory and Extra ID function, like they function together to enable access across both cloud and premises environments. So also Microsoft Extra ID is essential for efficient and secure identity and access management in the cloud. So without it, organization will deal with disorganized authentication, resulting in a confusing user experience and increased security risks. And Microsoft Extra ID simplifies this by providing a unified set of credentials for accessing various resources. So it makes it easier for users and ensures consistent security measures in the organization. Okay. So without it, organization may find it challenging to efficiently revoke access and adjust permissions. And also it will without it will increase the risk of unauthorized access and data breaches in the cloud. Okay. So let's look at some Azure identity. Okay. Some identity Azure authentication methods in Azure. Sorry. So first we have authentication, and as we know, authentication is the process of verifying the identity of an individual, service, or device by presenting credentials to prove who they are. Okay, so it's similar to presenting your passport at the airport. So this action validates your identity, yet the destination you are flying yet the destination you are flying to requires a destination verification process. So Azure offers various authentication methods, which we'll explore shortly. So the first one is multi-factor authentication, or MFA. I think you've heard of this often. So MFA enhances security by requiring an additional form of identification during signing. So this safeguards against unauthorized access, even in situations where the password of an account has been compromised. And multi-factor authentication provides additional security by requiring two or more elements. to fully authenticate. So this could involve a code being sent to a user's phone, a biometric property like a fingerprint, or asking the user to respond to a challenge question. And by combining two or more elements, it reduces the impact of credential exposure, and it makes it more secure than single-factor authentication, where we just have a username and a password that is being required. So enabling multi-factor authentication is very crucial for strong security, as you can see. Okay. So while features like MFA enhance organization security, users may find the added layer like, inconvenient. So sending password to their phone, sending some codes to their phone, fingerprints, challenges, it can be very inconvenient. So passwordless authentication methods are here, and they eliminate the need for passwords, making the process more user-friendly to enable passwordless authentication. And to devices like computers that need to be registered. So by associate these computers, you are trying to associate them with the user. So once registered, authentication can occur using using something the user has. Using something the user has, knows, or who the user is. So without relying on a password. So passwordless authentication methods include Windows Hello for Business, Microsoft Authenticator app, and FIDO, two security keys. So if you've ever been prompted when you're signing in to add a passkey, I think that's a passwordless authentication. Okay. So let's look at another authentication method. So we have Windows Hello for Business. And this is ideal for individuals with their own Windows computers within the organization. So users can access their computer using biometric. This is a fingerprint or a face recognition or a PIN code. And this prevents unauthorized access by colleagues or wrong intended individuals. The next one is Microsoft Authenticator app. And this is a mobile application that offers multi-factor authentication options. And it can transform any iOS or Android phone into a secure passwordless tool. So users can sign in by receiving a notification on their phone, matching, displaying numbers, or confirming with their biometric. This is which you have said it's fingerprint or face, or with a PIN code. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at FIDO2 security key. And it offers a secure and passwordless authentication method. So this is an open standard by the FIDO, let's call it FIDO Alliance, and it aims to enhance online security. So the key is available in different forms, including USB devices. Right? So they enable. So to authenticate yourself when connecting to your computer, you simply insert the FIDO2 USB device into the computer's USB, and instead of entering a password, okay. So that's very nice. The technology, okay. So let's look at some conditional access. So Microsoft Entra ID uses conditional access, which is a tool that determines resource based on properties such as user identity, the location, and the device being used. So this empowers users to be productive anywhere while safeguarding organizational access. Assets. So additionally, conditional access offers a nuanced multi-factor authentication experience. So for instance, users may not need a second authentication factor at a known location, but might be prompted if signing occurs at an unexpected location. So the tool collects and analyzes such details at login and decides to allow access, deny it, or enforce multi-factor authentication. So Conditional access becomes handy when you need to enforce multi-factor authentication based on roles, location, or a network, like requiring MFA for administrators or external collaborators. So you can allow access to services exclusively through approved client application, controlling which application can connect to specific services. So as an example, access to the database containing employee information and other sensitive documents should exclusively be or occur through the company's VPN, right? So additionally, you can restrict application access to users on managed devices that meet security and compliance standards. So this is to prevent potential malicious activity and a computer lacking the latest security updates may be restricted from accessing company resources. So lastly, you can prevent access from untrusted sources, including unknown or unexpected location. So you may consider allowing users from access only from countries where your offices are located. Okay. So alternatively, raising a red flag might be necessary if a user connects from one country and shortly after they connect from another distant country. So that's the US and the China. So you block China and yeah, okay. I hope you're getting it. So let's look at a demo where we're going to create users and group in extra ID. That's Microsoft Extra ID in Azure. Okay, so let's just jump over to that. Um, yeah, so this is the Azure portal. Okay, so in the left side you can see some available tools. Yeah, okay. So this is the navigation bar up here, console. But I believe you've been in our session, so you know something about the dashboard. There's Azure dashboard. Azure dashboard. I mean, so this is the Microsoft Extra ID. So in Microsoft Extra ID, users and groups are fundamental elements for managing access and permissions. So users represent individual accounts, as we said, and while groups allow for efficient organization and assignment of permissions, like the way we said on the last slide. So they are crucial for and these groups and users are crucial for easy identity management. So it ensures secure access to resources and simplifies the administration of user privileges within the Azure environment. So next, we are going to create and configure users and groups within the Microsoft Extra ID. So we can observe on the overview page, lots of info. Okay, Dennis, there's someone asking for the meeting link. Please share. Okay, so as I was saying, we can observe on the overview page, we have lots of useful information like number of users here, number of groups, and the number of devices, and the type of licenses we process. So I have this, I guess, I have this license. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have Microsoft Extra ID free. So let's create a new user. So we are going to go to here, or you can press on this add or here. But let's press on this add, then create a new user. So we are going to use John for the username, and in the display name, we can use a more friendly name or full name of the person, but I'm going just to move in with John. So we also use John with no last name, John. Okay. So the initial password can be auto-generated, and the user is going to be required to reset it on the first login. So we are now ready to create our first user. So there's some properties which you don't have to move there, but from the basics, just go ahead and review and create. So we're going to create this new user. Okay, so let's navigate to the user screen and get the entire list of our users. So right now we have John, and this is me. And we will create a couple of other users by performing the same steps as before. Okay, so press go. Okay, so we're going to create Diana and Eva and Michael. Yeah. So no, I think you can just do it from over here. So create a new user in your organization. Let's create Diane. Um, Diane. Display name will be Diane, or the full name of Diane. The password is auto-generated. As we said, they're going to be prompted to display a new pass to provide a new password for the login. So after creating all the other users, oh, we just create forever. So Michael, review and create. Review and create. And hit refresh. This Diana and Michael. Yeah. So where are we? So after creating all other users, you just hit refresh in case the list is not updated. And now it's time to create some groups and assign users to them. So let's go to the default directory here, and then groups here. Okay, see how simple it is. So we will include the finance department. So just hit on new group, and then type, let's say, finance. Maybe you have a finance department in your organization using Azure. So just hit the finance department, create group, and we'll add some employees. Oh, okay. I forgot to show you a trick, but I don't know. Let's just head over to groups. I'll show you with a new group. So after you hit create, should be seeing all groups here. Yeah, we have the finance department. So just go over and go to members. So here it's a menu here. So don't look at the others. Just focus on this manage drop down. So we have properties, members, and owners. So we want to add members or employees to the finance department. So go over and add members, and then you're going to add members here. Okay. So remember we added some users. So you want to add them to a group. You want to group them. So let's group Diana and Michael. Okay. So that's it. It's Diana and Michael, and then you can group John. I think John, yeah. And hit select. Yeah, so Dana and Michael have been added to the finance department. Okay. See how easy it is. So when someone asks you to, or maybe you see a freelance opportunity to create some groups and users, just take it. It's not that hard. Yeah. So I wanted to show you something else. Let's create another group. Let's head over to default directory. Select groups, add new group, and from here let's add a BI group. Okay. BI, business intelligence group. And over here you'll see that we have owners and members, and when you click this no member selected is clickable. So when you click it, it should display some of the users you have. So we're just going to add John in the business intelligence department. Yeah, and then select, then create. So with that trick, it's easier than just going over to the main group of the finance as we did, and hitting those plus buttons. Yeah, it's a bit tedious, but that's an easier way. Okay, so we can see that they are um I mean, okay, so we have created two groups. Let's see all groups. Yeah, we have finance and BI. So due to administrative limitations in the Azure platform, we will not be able to perform interactive exercises at like this point because I don't have some credits. But Cliff has prepared another interactive session on permissions and assignment in Azure portal in the next slide. So Cliff, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan, for that wonderful presentation. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so Ryan, since I joined with the Azure KEP account, you will have to like project for me, load for me the PowerPoint so that I can use it from your end. Oh,
okay.
Let me do it on my end. No problem. Just let me do it. I know how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, also if you want to like explore Azure and let's say you are a student, you can get 100. Is it like 100 USD? Dennis, how much is it? If you're a student, you get how many free credits? Or I think it's an year.
100.
100, yeah, 100. I will drop the links for you if you're a student. And if you are not a student, you can access Azure using the free, they give you like 200 free credits for 20 for a month. Okay. Yeah. So that's what something extra. I'll check the links and post it on the chat. So let's wait for Cliff to
Yeah,
finish
I'm
setting.
almost yeah.
Okay. And if you have any question, you can just post it on the chat. We are here to help. So you might find your roles when you're going to work, or maybe you're getting a new gig. You'll always be learning new stuffs each and every day. So you have to keep yourself updated. But for me, I always had those Udemy courses from 2019. Then I used to like procrastinate, and I always found them to be very outdated. So I try to keep myself updated every day, every time. I follow YouTube channels, yeah, and I guess X and LinkedIn, yeah. So that was a by the way.
Okay, so Ryan, unfortunately I can't access it, so just load it for me.
No problem. Okay, can you
then take me to my page? Is there a way you can transfer control to me in terms of navigation?
Oh, I'm saying I'll try
Hello?
to keep up. I'll try to keep up. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So as I mentioned, my name is Molo Oganda. I'm a student ambassador at JCOT, Better Milestone. And today I'm co-hosting Ryan on this identity access control and security. So I'm going to handle Azure permissions model. And by the end of my presentation, we are going to have a short demo to show you how you can go about it. And then thereafter, I'll throw it back to Ryan to take you through security. Yeah, so this is basically understanding Microsoft Azure architecture and services. Next slide. Yeah, now let's look at the Azure permission model. We're going to look at the structure and system in place for managing and controlling access to Azure resources. We're going to look at two primary models for managing access. One, we have directory roles, and that is what we are going to, that is what actually Naya demoed. Directory roles is in terms of what we call Microsoft Entra ID. And then on the users we have on our Entra, we can actually assign them roles from the Entra management group. And then we have role-based access control, which is more granular and it's applied from the subscription level. So we have two main primary models for managing access. One is directory roles, and the second one is role-based access control, or RBAC. Next. Now, what is a role? So a role is a collection of permissions. To make this, I'll give you an analogy in real life. If you're a developer, you've built systems where we have authentication and authorization. And then we have a user who can be assigned the role of admin. Admin can have access to what we call the admin dashboard. And the admin is allowed to add a product to an inventory, to edit, update, or even to promote other users from just regular users to maybe a tour guide or a tour lead. So think of role as a collection of permissions. And then we are going to define, just go back. We're going to define the actions and the entity, an entity can perform on Azure resources. And then what you need to know is that Azure offers some predefined roles, and also you can create some of your custom roles. So in creating custom roles, it's usually taking a combination of a predefined role, adding that role to another role, and that is what will give us a custom role. Next slide. Now, let's look at directory roles. Now, identity and access management within an organization. So when Naya was talking about Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID, and he mentioned so well that it was usually, before it was called Active Directory, but since then that name has been decommissioned and now we are using Microsoft Entra ID. So Entra ID, like you mentioned, think of it like a way of managing roles, users in our organization. So when you talk organization, we refer to something like a tenant. Now, in terms of directory roles, now that from the point of Enter ID, here is where we are going to assign users roles. And then you need to understand that it is not related to managing access to Azure resources. Azure resources is where now you're going to bring in what we call RBAC, or role-based access and control. Good. So next, please. Next. Next.
I'm on the next. Is it directory roles? Can you see the screen?
Oh, so yeah. Yeah, I can see the directory roles. So this is just like an illustration of what it gives you a picture of what you can expect from directory roles. Now, if we have a tenant and a tenant is like an organization, in this organization, we have users. Now, these users, they need some kind of assignments or roles to be able to gain access to a particular action in our organization. So that's why we have something here like a visa and a world. So this visa is like giving you access to the world. So depending on the role that you're assigned, that is what's going to be able, your capabilities will be limited to that. Remember, a good example, if you want to go to Tanzania, you can have a passport. Your passport can be East African passport, and your passport can be like powerful. One can take you to USA, those West countries. So start thinking of it like that. Next. Now, and then we have now directory roles, use cases. So we have administrative tasks related to user accounts, groups, and then directory settings, and an example is IT admin. Let me tell you a good example. When you join a new company, they will always assign you a company email. Now, this company email, just like Ryan did, you see, he added a new user. So if you're the new employee in a company, the IT admin will add a new user, assign you a custom email, and then he will give you the roles that, the boundaries to which you can operate within that organization. So think of that as a use case of the directory roles that we have. And IT admin will most of the time use these administrative features to manage users in an organization. Yeah, so let's move to the next slide. And then now we have RBAC, which is role-based access control. Role-based access control is used to manage access to Azure resources, which means if you work for a company, you are a developer, and then we have someone like senior developer or your manager or project lead, and then on top you have someone else. Now, if you are, for example, we are storing our secret keys on Azure Key Vault, okay? Now, as a developer, your super boss should only give you the permissions, the power to read those keys from the vault, but he won't give you the what we call the permission to write into that vault. You see how this comes in, which means the source we are having here is the Azure Key Vault. As a developer, you only have read access, but there is someone who will be given the right to write into that Azure Key Vault. But because I'm just developing an application that will need to have, we'll need to look up for these secrets in terms of key value pairs from the key vault, I will be assigned the read access only. So think of it like that. Now, it controls who can do what within a subscription, a resource group, and an individual resource. You can also use it to assign specific roles or assign only the necessary permissions. And this goes back to what Ryan mentioned earlier in terms of least privilege access, which means if you to practice best security practices, you need to only give access to what a user needs. For example, if I only need to read something from a database, you shouldn't give me the owner role of that database. You should only give me that permission to only read on that database. Beyond that, I can't write, I can't update, and I can't do anything else. I'm only restricted to doing what you assigned me. Now, least privilege policy. Next slide. Now let's look at role-based access control use cases. So here we have resources and then we have users. So if you look clearly here, we have how many users? We have 3 users, or users exactly. We have finance employee, we have BI employee, HR employee, okay? And then in terms of resources, we have payroll information, we have data warehouse. Now, I want us to take one example of finance employee. Finance employee has access to payroll information, but he or she has no access to SQL data warehouse. You see, we have the green mark and the red X. Coming to BI employee has access to SQL data warehouse. Why? Because he will need that data to create dashboards. But he has no access to payroll information, which has only been given to finance employee. Coming to the HR employee, look at what happens with the HR employee. HR employee has no access to SQL data warehouse. He has no access to payroll information. Payroll information is things to do with finance. Therefore, that roles are delegated to only finance employee, and therefore that particular employee is the only person who should have access to payroll information. HR, in this case, has no relevant resource that we can give him access to. Now, you see, we only give you access to what you need in your daily activities, like in an organization. Beyond that, you are not given that access. And that's where what we call role-based access comes in. So in terms of role-based access control, we have things like owner, contributor, a number of names. We are going to look at them when I finally take us to the portal. Next slide. And then we have role-based inheritance. Now, when we talk about inheritance, take away your mind from cloud. Just think of it in terms of your CSS classes and IDs. If you have a parent container and then you give it a class of, let's say, background blue or text color is blue, all the nodes or all the children inside that container, if you don't explicitly specify their classes, then all of them are going to inherit the class that is in the top level container. Now, coming back to a cloud setting or security setting like this, think of it. If I am an owner or a contributor, an owner, an owner has like all the privileges, all permissions, because he's like the owner of this organization, right? Now, as the owner, if the owner decides to also give me the role of being an owner, which means I will have all permissions, all privileges to do everything that pertains to this tenant, okay? But if I go to a resource group and then assign like a role there or maybe a permission, remember, so resource group is just like a logical container for all your related Azure resources. So any action that I perform at top level in the resource group will affect everything that is inside this container, be it an app service, be it Cosmos DB, be it SQL inside here, Vaults. If I give owner access to, a owner role to someone in this resource group, and this person will own everything inside this logical container. So inheritance, that is it. Think of it like propagation of roles through different levels in a hierarchy. So like in this case, suppose we have this subscription here, right? Now subscription, we have resource groups, and then we have resources. If I come to subscription here, or this resource group, and assign Ryan the owner of this resource group, Ryan will be able to have all the privileges, all permissions to manage every resource that is below this resource group. And if I take it a level further and elevate his privileges, and I give him the ownership of this subscription, then Ryan will be able to manage all these two resource groups. And since he's the owner, that will propagate down to everything that comes below that hierarchy. That's clear. Next. Yeah, same thing here. We have a contributor group A. Now, what Ryan mentioned, when we were creating an Entra ID, and then in our organization, Ryan was able to add users, right? Now, to manage these users in a more efficient way, now I want us to put groups in one side and then also put a resource group on one side. The resource group is just a logical container of resources that work together. A good example, if I build a web application today, my web application will need either and or a static web app, an app service for my APIs, Cosmos DB for my database. I will need Azure Key Vault for storing my .env keys and everything. I will need a CDN for global distribution of my traffic. Now, these are a resource group, which means if I give random ownership to this group, it will be able to control everything that is inside here. Now, coming back to group in terms of Entra ID and managing users, suppose I want to assign a number of users, same roles, same permissions, then instead of doing it one by one, like I go to Ryan, I go to Kemboi, I go to Dennis, then I come to Omolo, that is hectic. I can say, well, now this set of people have these same permissions and roles and assignments. So I will take all of them, put them together in a group, and then I assign them a role of contributor. You understand? So once I give them the role of contributor, which means everyone in that group will have a contributor assignment or role. And if also I now assign each user there, for example, to a resource group, they will have access to everything that is there. So that is still on inheritance to make it even more clear. Let's go to something next. Next slide. Yeah, now demo, configuring Azure permissions. Let's practice. I hope it works because it was working.
It will work.
So just a minute. Yeah, I'll share my window.
But that's all said. I think I've understood Azure permissions more. So when you can assign a single permission to a group rather than one user at a time. Okay.
Yeah. Just a minute while I configure my windows to share what I want to be shared. Just a minute.
And Patrick has had a question. He said, can you use Azure as a website database? Okay, let Omolo finish first. He'll answer first.
Okay. Can we see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, fine. So let me just log into my Azure portal and then we can see what we're talking about. Nice. So, I mean, this is simple. You log into your portal. This is what you get as the first window. Now, today we're talking about two things interchangeable. We have Microsoft Enter ID and we have subscription. So I want to go through Enter ID really quick and let's click on that so that from there we are going to go to RBAC. So when we come here, just like Ryan mentioned, this is now like where I organize everyone in this organization, right? So when I come to users here, I'll be able to see users that we have here. And I'm the first user because I'm the owner of this subscription or this tenant. Now, as the owner, I can be able to add someone else. So I'm just going to add one user really quick so that we're going to have this thing will make more sense. So I'll just give the user a name, for example, Prem. I love Indian names, so yeah. I like to call it that name, Prem Kumar. And then remember here, it will just take my name, then on Microsoft.com. Everything Ryan mentioned. So just not to waste time, I'll just click on, let me give it one name here, Kumar as a display name, and then just review and create. Great. And the creation of a user is really quick. And as Ryan mentioned, if you don't see anything here, refresh, and that will show Kumar here. Display name is Kumar, and user principal name is what we call Prem Kumar, right? Now, here we have two more users, apart from me, who's the owner of the account. We have Kumar and Patel. So let me just go back to where we are. So here we have, I'm back to the directory where we are, default directory. Directory here. Now, if you look at the left panel here, where we have options, we have users and groups, which Ryan already used. Now, my next thing is to use roles and administrators. So when I click on this, I want us to see what happens. We will have, this that we have here. So here we are going to have roles and administration privileges. So here, look at down here, we have administrative roles. Look at all these. So these are all the roles that you can give your users. And if you look at it clearly, we have some that have tags called privileges. So if you see a role that has privilege tag, you have to be careful because that will give them some elevated privileges, okay? But remember the policy with the cloud, is it list privileged or list access policy? Something of the sort, where I only need to give you access to what you need. If you need only feed access, that is the scope to which your roles should be limited to. If you are the owner, then you'll have access to everything. Now, once we are here, we are in all roles here. Now you can see what we have here. We have attribute processing policy, just scroll anywhere. We have Teams administrator, we have virtual, a lot of things here. If you click on any here, let me click on that, like lifecycle workflows, I can add assignment, okay? If I click on add assignment, so it's like I am assigning a particular user to this role. So imagine you come into my company and I want you to manage my virtual machines. So your role is to manage virtual machines. So I come to the role assignment status, I look for that role which is related to what I want to assign you, then I'll click on add assignments, okay? Now, I want to add an assignment to lifecycle workflow administrator. So what do? I click on add assignment. Exactly. Now, add assignments will fetch all the users in my tenant or in my Active Directory. We have Kumar, we have Patel. I don't want to assign myself, so I'll either say, okay, for this role, let Kumar be responsible for everything to do with lifecycle workflows administration. So I'll click on Kumar, okay? And you can see it's here. And maybe the scope of work has been large. I want to maybe add someone to the team. I'll click Patel, and then I click add. So which means Patel and Kumar have been assigned the role of managing the lifecycle workflows administration, okay? So that is how I can assign a role from the Active Directory, okay? Now, if you come back here, roles and administrations, now you can see this one has been already marked because we already selected it somewhere. We've added it to someone to manage it. So think of any role that you want to manage. Network administration, office apps administrator, password administrator, and then just click on that role, then select those whom you want to add to that role, and then that will happen. Now, what happens is that once I add them, that I give them that role, that is the only scope that they will have to deal with. Beyond that, they won't have any access, okay? Now, remember in our presentations, we had two types. We have Active Directory, roles and permissions, and then we have the RBAC, role-based access control, where we are going to look into that when we go back to subscription level. We have subscription level, and also we have directory level. So what I've shown you here is in terms of directory level. Now, what I'm showing you next is in terms of what we call the subscription level. So let me go back to my homepage right here. In my homepage, I want to go to the subscription. Click on that. So subscription, is like what enables me to be able to access these resources on Azure and everything in Azure. So once I'm here, suppose you have more than one subscription, select the one that you want to target. In this case, I want to target Microsoft Azure sponsorship. Click on that. Now, this is what we have here. Now, this is my subscription. I'll be able to see anything that pertains to my subscription. But today, we are focused on identity and access management that will give us role-based access control. Now, on this panel here, or this bar here, we have overview, activity, and everything. Like you can just do a lot of things here. You can see the task groups in the subscription, but we are focused on access control. That is IM, Identity Access Management. Or yeah, that is what it means if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So click on that. So that will load a separate window just on the same window, I think so. And then now here, since I'm the logged in user, I can be able to view my own access, okay? Now let's see my own access, that is number one. And that will load here. Yeah, so give it time to load, fantastic. Now it has loaded. You see, we have Omolo Uganda assignments, and that is what my name is in this tenant. So if you look here, my role is I'm the owner of this subscription. And look at what the owner does. Owner has full access grant to manage everything in the subscription. All resources. Resources include users. Now, if I add a user to my tenant or subscription, you'll become a resource that I can use and I can manage you. So think of it like that. Owner has privileges, everything. And then scope, is within the subscription. That's what I want you to understand. Group assignment, I don't belong to any group, and therefore I have no any assignment in terms of group. And condition, now condition is a bit more advanced, and that maybe will need another session. In terms of condition, what it means in a high-level explanation, you are an owner, yes, you have all privileges. So Ryan can come in to my tenant or organization. Then because I trust Ryan, or maybe he was a co-founder, I'll give him the role of owner, okay? But I can restrict Ryan from doing other things. For example, Ryan can delete any resource, but he can create other resources. So that is where now we can add a condition, okay? I say, okay, Ryan, you are an owner, but you can't do this, you can do this. I think that's clear. Now, if you come here, now we have my access, and then now we have roles and assignments. Now, roles and assignments will load the roles that we have here, and then you can view all the roles that one person can have. So roles and assignments, you see right now, the number of roles we have here 3. And I'm the only person privileged because I'm the owner. So like I mentioned before, you saw we had some tags like privilege. And I mentioned, you have to be careful when assigning a user a privilege assignment or role, because with privilege, he or she will get some elevated rights, which they shouldn't when we go by the policies of least access. Yeah. Then now if we come to roles here, we are going to see all roles that are in the subscription level or RBAC, role-based access control. Okay. Now let's look at what we have here. The first two, we have an owner. An owner can grant full access to manage all resources, including the ability to assign roles in Azure. You see what I meant? Once I invite you to my organization, you now are a resource. Now I can assign you roles, like I'm there to assign you, okay, you do this, you can't do this. And then you have a contributor, grants full access to manage all resources, but doesn't allow you to assign roles on Azure, which means I'm the only person responsible as the owner to assign roles. As a contributor, you have access to all the resources. You can do anything that you like, but you can't assign anyone any role because that's my responsibility as the owner. Now, that is what we need to know most importantly from here. But now, let's go down and look at something. I don't know if you can have virtual machines. There's a time I was working with virtual machines when I was building an application, and I was only given access in terms of I can only like deploy, troubleshoot, and everything. So let me see if you can have virtual machines here. Yeah, now look at this. We have virtual machines, virtual machine contributor. This is what I was given, which means as a machine, I will have the privileges of managing, deploying applications to virtual machine, having access to everything. Now, let's click on contributor. So once I click on contributor, you see we have a lot of things here. So I can view and see what we have within virtual machine contributor. So these are the things that an contributor can do. List permissions, get operations, a lot of things, delete, write. There are a lot more built-in roles. So within this role, within this role, we have now granular roles that a contributor can do. Okay, and then that's what we have. Now I can, once I click on this, I can either come here, no here, and click, I want to add a role assignment. Click on that. So I want to assign someone a role assignment. Take this role and assign it to so and so. So I'll come here and just search the same virtual machine. Contributor here. Click on that. Once I click on this, it's selected. So I can click on next. So here I can select the members who I want to assign this role of virtual machine contributor. So I'll select on select members. So this will fetch all the members in our current organization. Now here we have how many members? We have Prem Kumar, we have Patel, and we have Osego. So I want to say like maybe Patel and Kumar need to be assigned the role of virtual machine contributor. And then I click on select. Once I click on select, maybe I just maybe need to describe like what will this entail. Manage the provision and deployment of VMs on staging and prod. And then I can click on next. The conditions I don't have, because remember I told you about conditions. You can exclude some privileges and then just review and assign. So it will add the role assignments to those two users. Okay. Now, once we have these role assignments, so if the users were active users in my tenant, they will be able to have all the privileges that I gave them to manage all these virtual machines from a subscription level. So basically, that is all about managing permissions on Azure. It's quite a large topic which can take like a series on its own, just for us to exhaust what it entails. So I think this will give us a high-level overview of what to expect in terms of permissions and how to granularly manage your users' resources just to ensure security of your resources on Azure. Thank you. If you have a question, if you don't have any question, back to you, Rayan.
Okay, thank you, Molo. So that was very nice. We learned about role-based access and the refined permissions you can give to a user. So just allow me like 2 minutes. I take you through some concepts on like some overview, not even as concept. Like when you are going to create those role-based access and maybe grouping users and giving access to specific administrators and stuff, there's some things you must there's some things you must take note of. So that is cloud security in Azure. So okay. So cloud security refers to the protection of, let me mute them all of us. So cloud security refers to the protection of data, applications, and infrastructure in cloud computing. So it involves practices like data encryption, identity management, network security, compliance adherence, and measures to detect and respond to security incidents. So the responsibility for cloud security is shared between the cloud server provider and the users, and it aims to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information in cloud environments. So we have something called the zero trust model. And this is a security model that starts with the assumptions of a potential breach and safeguards resources accordingly. So this model verifies each request as if it is originated from an unsecured network. And Microsoft strongly advocates for the zero trust security model, focusing on the following key principles. Okay. Number one is explicit verification, and it states that you should always authenticate and authorize based on all available channels. Modern features such as multi-factor authentication simplify the implementation of this process, this explicit verification, and it ensures easy validation of a user's identity. And number two, we have least privileged access in the zero trust model. So it means the least privileged access means restricting user access by using risk-based adaptive policies and data protection measures. Simply put, users should only be granted access to this resources and permission essential for their specific job roles and avoiding unnecessary privileges. Okay, so let's assume let's assume the oh it's called the assume breach principle, and it's number 3. So it acknowledges that determined attackers may find a way in. So with this in mind, security measures are designed to minimize the impact of a breach, and they limit access and maybe implement additional protection within the network. So simply put, if a malicious actor gains access to specific components within your organization, they should be prevented from expanding their access to other areas. So the goal of in-depth the goal of defense in depth. We have moved from the zero trust model to the defense in depth model. So its goal is to safeguard resources and prevent unauthorized access and information theft. So this strategy employs multiple layers of mechanisms to ensure to block the progress of an attack attempting to gain unauthorized access to data. Okay, so think of defense in depth as a layered approach where the central data is surrounded by protective layers working together to ensure its security. Okay, so each layer acts as a safeguard, ensuring that if one is breached, the next one prevents further exposure. And this eliminates reliance on a single layer, and it slows down attacks and provide alert information for proactive security actions. So key layers include the physical security layer, and this protects computing hardware in the data center. So that's the watchman. And identity and access layer manages access to infrastructure and access control. Maybe they have cards and stuff. And the perimeter layer uses firewalls and other tools to protect against large-scale attacks like DDoS. So it involves multiple attempts to. So these scale attacks, maybe they may be involving multiple attempts to gain access. And the network layer controls resource communication through segmentation and access control, like VNet, the virtual network. So compute layer secures virtual machine access and ensures they are protected by antivirus and anti-malware software. And application layer ensures applications are secure and free of vulnerabilities. Data layer controls access to critical business and customer data, and these layers serve as a guide for making security configuration decision across all application layers. That's all these layers. So next, although certain layers, as mentioned earlier, fall under the cloud provider's responsibility, Azure users must also implement security measures on their end. So Azure helps customers by offering Microsoft Defender for the cloud, a monitoring tool for security posture management and threat protection. So it monitors various environments, providing guidance and notification to enhance security across the cloud, on premises, and maybe on hybrid setups. So Defender for Cloud simplifies resource security, and it offers security posture tracking and defense against cyber threats. Yeah. And overall security and the overall security management. So it's easy to start using it, and it integrates into Azure natively since it's from Microsoft. So Defender for Cloud addresses three crucial requirements in managing the security of your resources and workloads across the cloud and on premises. So number one is continuous assessment, which helps you gain awareness of your security posture by identifying and tracking vulnerabilities consistently. Security hardening helps resources and services. And finally, threat defense detects and resolves threats targeting resources, workloads, and services. Okay, so security is of high importance because it forms the foundation of trust in in our digital landscape. So it protects our valuable data, applications, and systems from unauthorized access, and it ensures the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of our resources. Cloud security is not just a necessity, it's a strategic requirement. And by understanding the challenges, embracing best practices, and ensuring cutting edge tools, we can navigate the cloud landscape with a fortified security. So, yeah, so let's wrap it up. So as we conclude this session, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks for joining us on this adventure into the fundamentals of Azure, and your dedication to mastering cloud has been truly inspiring. Okay, so throughout our session, we have been unraveled the complexities of Azure, from fundamentals of cloud computing principles to complexities of storage, compute, networking, and we did identity and security services. And you have navigated Azure landscape with and building a robust foundation in the world of cloud. Okay, so now we've equipped. Now you are equipped with this essential insight. You are ready to fly into the Azure sky. So keep exploring, experimenting, and applying your knowledge, your newfound knowledge. And whether you are advancing your career, embarking on new projects, or diving deeper into Azure capabilities, the possibilities are limitless. So thank you very much for attending our session. So I don't want to keep you. So if there are any questions, I don't know if so. I think we are fine. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for joining, guys, and DM me on LinkedIn. My name is Rayhan. So if you would like to contribute, to collaborate, I'm open. If you search Rayhan, this name, you'll find me on LinkedIn. So if you have any question, you can drop on LinkedIn, and I can we can discuss anything you like. So thank you very much for joining, guys. Okay. So you can speak.
Thank you.
Okay.